Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hey guys, can we ask you a favour? Can we ask, if you haven't already, please make sure that you're following us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can get updated with all the latest episodes every week when they come out. You never know, it might just be the thing that you need to hear at that time. Also, don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, so make sure you head over there and subscribe to us there.
And share with all your friends.
Thanks, guys. Hi! Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash
And Becky.
Today we are talking ancestral healing.
We are, yeah.
Go straight into it.
Straight into that. 'Cause that's quite a big word, isn't it? Ancestral healing. Like, you know, I couldn't get my head around that at first when we just sort of learnt about it. But I was just saying to Tash, I was thinking the other day about ancestral healing and how, you know, in particular, we were talking about autism, weren't we? And how in the past with our ancestors, how autism was viewed. And, you know, I'm thinking on my husband's side in particular, there's quite a bit of like poor mental health. And with Harry, my son, clearly having, and Nicole as well, daughter, having a bit of it and it causing depression in him, I had a thought as to, I wonder if this is what his ancestors, particularly on my husband's side, but also like a bit on mine, maybe that's what they had all along. Maybe it isn't a history of poor mental health and psychosis and bipolar and depression and BPD and all of that. Maybe they just had autism and weren't treated appropriately. So it, you know, obviously snowballed into this horrendous mental health problem. So after seeing Harry getting depression, you know, if we hadn't realised all of this, because he's not been diagnosed, this is just us that it's, you know, doing our own research, what could have happened to him if we hadn't understood it? Could we have taken him to the doctors and got the wrong care and wrong medicine, and you know, life goes on and gets harder and harder and harder for these people. So anyway, I was just thinking yesterday that, well, I've always felt that Harry has come to say no. Whatever that is, he's saying no, I'm not working like this anymore. This does not work for me. Change it. You change it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Which is very frustrating as a parent.
Yeah.
But amazing in terms of ancestral healing.
Yes. And once you get over that, no, you'll bloody do what you're told. And you go through all of what comes with that.
Which that was huge lessons for you, wasn't it?
Huge. So once you can get over all of that and come out of it, and actually he was right. And it's just getting out of your own programming and you know, your thought process and things like that. It's like throwing that all in the bin and starting again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so hopefully he's not going to go down that road because he's not depressed anymore. We've got him over that, and now he can you know, understand his brain and that he's not alone, like so many people have it, as we can see now, so many people. So it's just maybe your brain works like this, and he can really start to understand himself. We can understand him. We're not going to say certain things to him, therefore improving his mental health. All of this that generations before him did not have. and were just written off as, you know, a history of poor mental health.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking yesterday in the car, driving along, and I thought, you know, I've heard about the ancestral healing, and I just could feel like the trauma line, like this, what we're doing now is healing them. And I could just sort of feel it. So it's really hard to explain,
Yeah.
isn't it? But I just, like, on just a much bigger scale, because obviously we've got to a good point with us and Harry. And it was a lovely feeling, actually. And it was like a warming, lifting feeling that I felt that something bigger is happening. It's not just what we've been dealing with on this earth.
Yeah.
It's doing something bigger. And it's really hard for me to talk about it because I don't really understand it myself. And I wish, like, I knew what it was actually doing to those souls before us or whatever. So it just got me thinking, and I was talking to you, Tash, wasn't it? And you were having the exact same thoughts yesterday too, funnily enough, or not funnily enough, probably at the same time that I'm having all these realizations. And what these things are actually doing for us on a much bigger scale as well, and for our ancestors. You just wonder, don't you? So you have obviously a lot more insight to this than me. So what do you think?
To be honest with you, like, I don't have an awful lot more, because this is something that I just kind of want to, well, I was just telling you, wasn't I? We were just kind of speaking about this before for the first time, so I haven't really spoken to you about it, but I've had, so I'll tell, like, what I just said to you just briefly. I was on the road trip on holiday, and I was in the car, and we had a lot of hours. So I thought I'll get my human design out, because I love the human design experiment, and it's a gift that keeps on giving and giving. And as I'm diving deeper, you can get more information. So I thought I would dive into it's called an incarnation cross. Right. So the incarnation cross tells you what you've come here as a soul, what your gifts are, what your soul gifts are, and what your then is directly linked to your purpose. Right. Cut to everyone's now going, right, what's my incarnation cross? I need to find out my purpose. Just do it after the podcast episode. So I knew a little bit about my incarnation cross. But I thought I'd just put it into ChatGPT to just see what it says. Now, you know, I know that just be wary when you use ChatGPT for human design, if you do, because I know a little bit about, I'm in no means an expert, but I do know a little bit about human design, and I put in some of my information, and it gave me the completely wrong information. I had to call it out, and it was like, oh, sorry, yes, you're right, I have given you the wrong information. I'm like, oh god. So now I'm a little bit wary when I use it, but just disclaimer there. However, anyway, I did know about my incarnation cross, and the information that it gave me was correct for that. And it was amazing because, well, it's amazing for me because I'm like, oh, I've finally found my soul's purpose. I know I have, and I'm working in my purpose, which is amazing because obviously I didn't know any of this human design stuff before I stepped into this world of work. But effectively, my soul's gifts and my soul's purpose is bringing the unconscious into the conscious for people and being a bridge between the unseen world. And I know, it's just like, oh, I did something right. But then the one thing that I was like, oh, don't know much about this, is that I'm here to recognize patterns in ancestral patterns and facilitate ancestral healing. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's the one part of my purpose and my soul gifts that I haven't really properly explored. And it's interesting because that's the kind that are less like you just said. Everything you've said there, it's a feeling, isn't it? You said you feel like you're doing something bigger. You feel like you're helping your ancestors because you don't know. You can't know for sure, right? So, and I think that's where, you know, like, you know, I'm being called to go more into the spiritual side of work, which is difficult for me because I'm stepping out into the less tangible stuff. And it's a little bit anxiety ridden for me because I'm like, I need to know what I'm doing for people as well, especially when you're offering it. It's fine for myself, but when you're offering it as a service for someone else, stepping into that realm where you're basically telling someone you're doing something that they can't really know, they can't really see that. It's like there's some things around that I have to work on. That's my work, and that's what I'm doing right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know that. Anyway, that's an aside. So, ancestral healing, apparently. This is part of my soul's
Wow.
gift. Now, I do acknowledge that I do ancestral healing in the work that I'm doing right now. I do notice ancestral patterns because obviously the work that I'm doing with my clients has been passed over to them from their parents.
Yeah.
Because that's effectively what, you know, subconscious programming is, isn't it? It is ancestral. So I am doing it.
Yes.
But I think that I'm being called to do it on a deeper, more spiritual,
Right.
like unseen level, which I don't know. I'm sit here and now, and I'll be honest, I don't know an awful lot about. So I can't be my usual self where I just yabber on about stuff because I don't know an awful lot, but I know what I do know, what I've done for myself. So I think there's two aspects of ancestral healing. I do think there's this tangible aspect with the, you know, what you've just said about Harry and what you guys have done, where he's kind of had the same traits as people in your family. But because you're more aware and you're more open, and because you're ready to do the work, it's allowed him to be able to say, no, I'm not doing this.
Yes.
You know, so and by doing that, he is breaking those ancestral subconscious patterns because that stops with him, because he's not going to pass on those same things that you passed on to Harry, and his dad passed on to him.
And I used to say to him when he was, you know, when he was trying to get better, and I was like, Harry, you could stop this. You can change your genetics. If you can get better before you have children, it can end with you. And bless him, because he's so sensitive as well, which is why he is the way he is. He was like really sort of like taken with that. Oh, you mean my children won't have this? So he's already thinking about his children and passing this on, you know, which sensitive people do, don't they? You know, they think, oh, I couldn't do this to my you know, what's the point in having children if they're just going to be miserable like me? And to have that then belief himself that he can change his genetics, getting onto epigenetics, which you taught me about, which is amazing as well. So I was like, change your genetics. You can't do that. That it is what it is. You can't change it, but you can.
Yes.
And so, yes, he can literally be the full stop there and be the cut off. How amazing is that? And if that person knows that they can do it, I mean, that's a drive then, isn't it? To really try and change the way your beliefs, because, you know, he just thought he'd written himself off. He just kept saying, I've got bipolar. And really, that is a bit of a write-off, isn't it? Because when you look at bipolar, they tell you, well, that's it. You can't cure it. You just have to take medicine, you know. And I would say, I don't think you have, Harry. I think you've got ADHD and autism. And when you look at the symptoms of it, they're all the same, aren't they?
And why is that, Bex?
Because there is no label. And you would know this if you listen to Queen Tashy.
Now, discover this is just my opinion. This is my opinion.
No, honestly, it's true. I totally agree with you. Absolutely. We're just different people, aren't we?
Yeah.
Individuals.
I personally think so, because I see everybody as a human being.
Yeah.
And this is only my opinion from doing the work that I have now done in subconscious reprogramming, ancestral healing, working with people's subconscious minds, all the things. This was absolutely not my opinion 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I had very opposite opinion. I was very much about the labels and medical diagnoses and all that. So I can only see what I can see from the work that I do every day and working from people's minds. And I genuinely believe that, I mean, we've had this conversation before, haven't we? But I just think it needs to be said again. I do genuinely believe the sooner that we can all stop labeling ourselves, we're dooming ourselves to something. And we are, like you said about the genetics, if we label ourselves with a certain illness,
Mhm.
whatever that is, whether that's a mental health illness or a medical illness like diabetes or breast cancer or something like that.
Yeah.
If we are labeling ourselves with that label,
Mm.
which more than likely has come from our ancestors, we are continuing that ancestral pattern. We are continuing that ancestral trauma, because I believe that these things are all coming from a place of trauma and programming due to trauma. So if we keep on perpetuating these labels, you're not breaking the cycle fully. It's like you've just demonstrated there, when Harry could realize, oh, so I don't have to have bipolar. I don't have to pass this on to my children. You're freeing yourself to then allow this epigenetics part of you to kick in. And that's where you break the trauma cycle. That's where you break the bond and you start something new for your family.
Amazing.
Moving forward.
Love that.
And I think that it's really, really important to at least be open to the fact that we don't have to have, you're not bipolar, you're not diabetic, you're not autistic.
Yeah.
Labels are helpful, and they are to a certain extent.
Only because of the way the world is being
Because
run.
of the world,
Yeah.
exactly right. Because of the world is being run. And actually, I was brushing my teeth yesterday, and I have all my thoughts come to me when I'm brushing my teeth. And I was like, oh, it hit me out of nowhere. I wasn't even thinking about it, but it hit me out of nowhere. And again, this is just another synchronicity about these thoughts that we've been thinking, which has led to this podcast episode today. We all want labels. We all want to say, we all feel better when we go, oh, I'm autistic. Oh, I've got ADHD.
Yeah.
Because I still think it's running from this deep, deep wound that humanity has of disconnect, from where we came from, and of disconnect from each other, because we are all one. We are all from the same, I believe, we are all from the same source, and we are all connected. Quantum physics has proven that time and time again. We're all entangled with each other because we all came from the same stuff. We're all made from the stuff of stars. All of us were made from the results of the Big Bang, right? So we all came from the same place. We're all connected. Now in the world that we're living in, this world that we're living in now, there's so much disconnect. And it appears that, we're this horrible race where there's, wars everywhere and every single faction hates the other faction. But I think deep down inside, we're all so sad because we don't want to be that way. We want to be connected. So then all of a sudden, if you can say, oh, I've got autism. Yeah, that's me, because you hear other people talking about it. You subconsciously, you're getting that connection back with humanity. You're getting that connection back with other people. And I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does, because they think there's something wrong. That it's something wrong with them, don't they?
Yeah.
Like Harry, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. Why am I different? What is wrong with me? And there is all of that, and that does play a part. But I think just this deep wound, it's the forgetting, and it comes back to everything that I wake up in the morning for, everything I'm passionate about, everything I try and do for myself, and therefore everything I try and do for other people, which is to remember who we are, because we've forgotten who we are. And in that forgetting, we've become disconnected, and it's not our natural state of being.
No.
But most of us don't understand this or realize this, and so, I just think that, and like I said, everything that I do, all the work that I do outside, in with my clients, our aim on the podcast is to try and help people remember who they are, where they came from, the power we hold, who we really are. Step out of the programming, because that's not who we are. It. Remember your true essence. You're perfect. You're powerful. You're a creator. And all of the things you think you are, this identity you've made, has been passed down from your ancestors through programming, subconscious programming, and whether that's mindset programming and your beliefs or illnesses. So anyway, that was another little bit of a tangent, but I just think that it's really important. Again, I said that to just be open. If you are finding yourself questioning if there's something wrong with you, or identifying with a particular label, or you have family members, it's difficult. Just remember, we are all human, and it's fine to want a label, but know that might be where it's actually coming from. We're all humans. Every single illness or mental health illness or disease, there's loads of overlapping symptoms.
Yeah.
And I do, and again, I just see all of this as a result of us being out of alignment with who we are, which is where the
Yeah.
epigenetics comes back in. And this is all linked. Everything we're talking about here is linked to the ancestral healing. I think it's really important. I didn't even know what I was going to talk about before we started this, did we, when we talk about ancestral healing? But this is what it is. The work that you do to identify your beliefs, to identify, you know, the subconscious programming that you've picked up from your parents, who picked up from their parents, who picked up from their parents. You know, it's like that's the ancestral trauma. So by working on yourself, you do get to break that cycle of ancestral trauma, and you get to make something better for your kids and their kids and their kids. And yes, like you said, Harry has come here to be that cycle breaker for the ancestral trauma, but actually, like we were saying before we pressed record, you are also the cycle breaker.
Yes, it was in our hands, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Because we were the only ones as the adult that could do anything about it.
If it wasn't for you saying, I need to do something different here, Harry could never have, well, the cycle would have continued.
Yeah.
Because Harry would have gone down the same route as everyone else. It was only because you were the cycle breaker, the original one. He's come and then he's pushing it further.
Yes.
But you're
He
the original.
ignited it.
Right.
But maybe this is my mission.
Right?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm putting a focus on that is because everybody listening here, more than likely most people, our audience, are of our generation.
Yeah.
You guys are the cycle breakers. You are here to stop that ancestral trauma line. It stops with you.
Yeah.
And then our kids get to take it on further. And so that's why it's really important. I think this is why we wanted to do this episode, isn't it? Because all you guys listening, it's a heavy burden to bear.
It is.
We're the ones that have to step out of the norm, out of the programming, with no help really from our parents, because that their generation, and it's no shade on them, there's no blame, they weren't ready, like their souls may be incarnated to not do that. I do think that our souls incarnated now to do exactly what we're doing, and it's hard because we had no support. Whereas Harry, yes, he's breaking generational cycles as well, but he's got the support of you to help him. Us, our generation, don't have that.
No.
And that's tough.
That's right. And it's you put it very simply, just be open.
Yeah.
Because honest, that's what I wasn't. When it wasn't going well, I wasn't open. I was in the system. And then as soon as you're open, you can't ever go back, can you?
No.
And everything just keeps expanding. And once, if you embrace it, really it's getting better and better and better, and you're having all these realizations. So it was just so simply put to say, just be open. You don't have to be in a box, do you? You don't have to do what they're telling you to do. In fact, probably we really need to not be doing what they are telling us to do. We need to listen to our children or people around us. And
most importantly, our intuition.
Yes.
It's what it comes back to.
If it doesn't feel right.
Yes.
Because I go back now to when it was a struggle and I was in the system. It really did not feel right at all. That feeling, okay, we've all not got the luxury maybe to do something about it. I'm just talking in terms of kids coming home out that system.
Yeah.
But if there's a way that feels better, do it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it might be baby steps. It might just be, well, that thing feels a little bit better than that one. The lesser of two evils.
That's right.
I'll go with that one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's really important as well. You've got to do what's right for you, not what everyone's telling you to. That's this whole part of the thing of like, stepping out of the programming. But what I wanted to say as well is, I think, why is it relevant? Why do you want to be breaking ancestral patterns and cycles? I mean, obviously, from what we've just spoken about, in terms of the subconscious programming, and we know we've spoken enough on this podcast about why you would want to be doing that. Clearly, it's about becoming who you are, feeling comfortable in yourself and finding joy in this life while we're on this planet, right? That's, I think it's pretty obvious from what we've spoken about now why you want to do that. But, you know, we started off by talking about, you know, health and stuff, or ADHD or autism and stuff. And when you look at the ancestral healing, when you look at it from that perspective, that's powerful, because all of a sudden now you're in control of your health and you're not at the mercy of your genes. And this is something that, like, I'm really passionate about making sure as many people start changing their beliefs around this, because we know, we've spoken about beliefs, we know how powerful beliefs are. They're a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your beliefs program your subconscious mind, which creates your reality. So you have to be open and willing to start changing your belief that you are in control of your genetics. We keep saying this word epigenetics. I am not an expert on it. And the reason we haven't done a whole podcast on it is because I don't feel like, I would like to get somebody on who knows about it more, so that they can do it justice, because I never speak about stuff unless I'm 100% clear about it in my head.
That would be a good one.
So I think
I'd
note that down. But please go and listen to podcasts on epigenetics. Go Google epigenetics. If you want a really basic, simple understanding, but thorough, but if you want it in really easy ways to understand, go and Google or look for podcasts where Bruce Lipton speaks. So he's a ex-medical doctor, and he completely did a 180 switch like me when he realized that what he coined, like the whole epigenetics thing, or had something big to do with it anyway. So go listen to him, because then you'll understand what we're talking about. But effectively, what epigenetics is proven, it's not just suggesting, it's been proven, and somehow we're not being told about it, it's not being taught, but we can absolutely affect our genes. If you have a gene for breast cancer, it doesn't just mean you're destined to have breast cancer. They can't just switch on. Genes respond to their environment. What is a gene's environment? It's your blood. What's in your blood? Hormones and chemicals. How do you control those hormones and chemicals? By your thoughts and your feelings and how you're living your life, right? So this is where ancestral healing comes back into play. This is why because you can then argue, Tasha, but no, I know lots of people that had the breast cancer gene and their mum got it and then their daughter got it and then their daughter got it. Yes, exactly. This is because of ancestral trauma. The programming is getting passed on. This programming, this trauma, this ancestral trauma that is getting passed on is creating the thoughts and the feelings that are creating the same hormones that switched on those same genes in your grandma's genes, in your mum's genes, in your genes. So epigenetics suggests that if you want to stop that gene from turning on, you've got to break the ancestral programming. You've got to break that cycle so that by breaking your beliefs, by healing the trauma, and by thinking different thoughts. Then you think different thoughts, there's different hormones running around your blood, and therefore that gene is not going to get switched on.
Yes.
That's it. That's epigenetics in a nutshell.
Exactly. There you go.
Right. So that's why ancestral healing and breaking these ancestral patterns is actually really, really important, because, and that was something that I kind of almost understood intuitively when mum died. It was one of the sparks, one of the many sparks that made me think I cannot carry on the way I'm going, because I saw in that instant, I saw my future and I knew that would be mine. I knew I would die at 62. I knew I would probably die of some kind of cancer around my chest. It was like, I couldn't unsee it. And I refused. I'm not doing that. I'm not. So my mum died at 62. My nan died at 63. And I was getting ready to follow that pattern. I know I was. And now I could 99.9% say to you, I won't go that way. No. Something else might get me, because, we can do all this work and we can try our best, but we're not perfect. Doesn't matter how much I know this stuff. Yeah. I know there's still work that I have to do. There's still things that I can't see. There's still patterning I haven't quite broken. I know that, but I'm okay with that. I'm not worrying about it. I haven't got fear in my mind anymore. No. I'm like, I'm doing what I'm doing and that's the best. I'm exactly where I need to be. So, you know, I'm not saying I won't die of cancer now.
No.
I'm not saying that, but I do know that I won't go the same way as them, because I've broken so many patterns of those two generations that it just can't happen for me.
Yeah.
And that's what's powerful about doing this ancestral healing. Like, look back and just think, I don't have to. I don't have to go that same way. I'm not destined to this genetic line. I can change it for myself
Yeah.
and for my future
Exactly.
family. Yeah.
Amazing. And I found that so comforting when you told me about epigenetics. Really, you
Yeah.
can't, you know, when you think, you grow up, don't you? I mean, what is it that the doctors ask you? Have you got a history of mental health in your family? You know, it's everywhere, isn't it? You know, you'd hear maybe your mum say, you know, oh, well, you know, your gran died of breast cancer and her mum died of breast cancer, you know. And when someone tells you, because you believe, well, that's it, I'm set up, I'm good, that could happen to me.
And what happens when you believe it? You're creating your reality with your
Exactly.
beliefs. Remember, your subconscious, what you tell your, and I'm talking, this is in every aspect. Let's take it to the body. The words that you speak, the beliefs that you hold, what you are telling your subconscious, it is going to precisely follow that and recreate it in your body.
Yeah.
So if you are telling it, I'm going to get cancer, I know I'm going to get breast cancer, I'm going to get breast cancer, or you fear it, it doesn't even matter if you're not actively telling yourself this, because not all of us do that. But I tell you what, a lot of us probably do have in the background those subconscious thoughts of, well, no, I'm going to get breast cancer because my mum did and my grandma did. So even if you're not hearing yourself say that, your subconscious is being fed that. And then your subconscious will send those messages to your cells, and that is going to switch them on. And I'm not saying this to scare anyone or like to put anyone in fear, but it's about being in control, and it's about being relentless with your thoughts. It's becoming the observer of your thoughts and knowing that you can change them. It's no different, like, you know, I said this the other day, didn't I? If you continue to say to yourself, I'm fat, or I'm a big girl, I'm chubby, or I'm spotty, you are sending direct signals to your cells to be just that. And this is why in all of the things, when you hear people saying about manifesting and creating your reality, it's why they always say, imagine yourself as you want to be. That's why, because when you imagine yourself constantly, you can't just do it once. And then this is why, like, manifestation rituals don't work. You can't just imagine yourself once as this, you know, the image that you want to be, or the person that you want to be, and then carry on going about the rest of your life still having these subconscious thoughts of but I am fat, I am, you know. You have to be relentless on what you tell yourself, and you have to be obnoxious with it, because you have to go against what you're actually seeing or experiencing in real life at this time, because remember, there's a lag. So you have to see yourself constantly as, I'm thin. Oh, look at me with my flat belly. Oh, look how great I look. These jeans are so loose for me. When you're like, you have to keep doing it, because you're sending your cells a signal with that. So give it time, give your body time, and it will adjust. And okay, now I'm being a little bit funny there. That still works. It's still very, very true. But get back into the more serious things. Obviously, you know, illnesses, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, all of the enter it all. It all takes time to develop. Manifesting takes time to develop. There is a lag. So just be you know, you've got a little bit of extra time with these diseases and stuff. Get on it now. Be on it now. Start looking at how you can heal those ancestral patterns. And that's the tangible part of ancestral healing.
It is. And once you know it's possible, because when someone's just telling you that, you think, oh, yeah, you can't change your genetics. So once you realise that it's possible, it obviously makes it a lot easier to get on board, doesn't it? I mean, some people would do it anyway, or can do it anyway. Because they weren't they, before we knew about this epigenetics. They were so, you know, firm in their belief. But how amazing now that we actually have the proof and the science to back it up. So why wouldn't we do it?
Exactly. And this is what I'm saying to you. Don't just take our word for it. So you can hear us saying it. Go out there and actively think, I want to now solidify this belief. So go and listen to those podcast, go find Bruce Lipton,
Yeah.
go find all the evidence of how people have healed themselves and listen to what they're saying. Things start adding up. You'll hear, like you just mentioned something there about the belief. When you hear all these stories about people making these miraculous recoveries or, doing things that the doctor said was impossible, you will hear every single one of them say, I refused to believe that that was going to be me. And that's all it takes. That absolute refusal of everybody else's belief, your old belief, society's belief, the doctor's beliefs, your parents' beliefs, everyone, and you have to choose to believe something different. And sometimes there's times in all of our lives, I'm sure, where everybody listening can say, yeah, there was one time where I said I refuse to believe that. That's not happening. And you don't even know you don't know why you feel that, but you're like, no. And every time you will do it against all the odds. You will do it. I'm thinking it's so funny. The memories just popped into my head of I'm such a weakling, aren't I? I am so weak. Everyone who knows me knows I don't have much upper body strength. I've got really strong legs, but I don't have much upper body strength. And do you remember when Ollie got stung?
Oh my God.
By that wasp and he went lame?
Oh my God.
I picked that dog up
effortlessly
and ran up the hill. Ran up a hill. I struggled to walk up sometimes and I didn't even blink.
She wasn't even out of breath.
No.
Honestly, I don't know how you did it. I mean, I tried to lift Ollie up into the boot the other day and it did not go well. So and I had a vision when I was doing that. I was like, how Tash scooped him up that time like he was weightless.
Yes. And because I was just like, well, there is absolutely no way. We're in the middle of nowhere. I need to get him to the vets immediately. I'm getting up that hill. And so again, it's funny, I jest. But it's so true. I bet everyone's got something that's popped into their minds, whether it's a big thing or something like that. We can all do things when we believe we can.
Yeah.
So let's not wait until we have to believe something, until we're in a difficult situation that puts us into, where we have to do it. Let's believe it now. Let's believe the impossible now, because nothing is impossible.
Exactly.
when you make yourself believe it. So, and this is what I do every day. I decide the belief I want to have, and then I will go out there and I will find evidence for it in every single angle that I can. And I'm not doing it just so because there's confirmation bias. I know, like when you want an answer, you'll find it. It's very true. But when you listen and research as much as I do to a whole area, a plethora of sources and information, you start hearing the same thing in different ways from different people over and over again until you just think, well, there is no way that this can't not be true.
No.
Now it feels stupid to believe that it's not true, right? And that's what I'm inviting you guys to do. Don't just take our word for it. Now go out and have a look. It's in your interest to do this. It really is. And I'm just thinking should we go on? Maybe we can, because it's not going to take very long, to the more spiritual, esoteric part of ancestral healing, because this is the part that I haven't dived into as much. It's a bit more difficult to talk about because it's not tangible. So all of that is a very tangible ancestral healing, and it's all very important. But if we just touch on the spiritual ancestral side of things, it's my hope that I mean, and this is where I'm trying to aim for now, is to go more down that road and to start diving into the more spiritual side of things so that I can actually help other people. I'm doing it for myself first and with you, but so that I can actually help people do that, in the work that I'm doing. And that excites me. So I know that I have to go for that because it's making me go, oh yeah, that would be fun. And I have no idea. I don't know. But what I do know is that the times where I've done meditations for myself, or Beck and we've done our kind of little healing sessions that we're doing in practicing for what's to come in the future. We've had some profound experiences related to the ancestral healing. And again, I can speak personally in my meditations, they've been so powerful, particularly when I've done So I've done like different types, because ancestral, then now my brain's going, oh, there's lots of different types of ancestral healing, isn't there? Because there's like the ancestral healing that you could do with the meditations with going back to your parents
Mhm.
and then your grandparents and their grandparents, and then just imagine your whole kind of genetic family line. So that's one set that you could do spiritually, which I've done. And I said I did that yesterday or the night before. And it
Yeah.
was really powerful. But then there's also, again, because I'm coming from the fact of like, but you know, I've done, you know, my past lives and stuff. And then I'm like, well, it's not just the ancestral in your genetics line, but
No,
there's the
true.
ancestrals of your previous lifetimes that you've had. Because we know from doing the past lives, we know that you're affected by past lifetimes. Now that's different genetics.
Yeah.
So in your past lives, you don't have the same genetic line, but it's still ancestral because you're still connected in the past. Now time's not linear and everything exists at the same time, yes, but this is where I start thinking, well, this is how ancestral healing can really work then. Because if time's not real
Yeah.
and time doesn't exist and everything's happening now, there's nothing in the past and the future. If you say, I am going to choose to do the ancestral healing for all, you know, all the past versions of me, it's affecting them in their lives now because they're still living their lives.
Yeah.
And if it's affecting them in their lives now, it's also affecting you because you're part of them. And so then when I've done meditations where I've thought about a past life where I was a woman who was persecuted as being a witch, or I was just, there was, you know, I lived a life where I was put down because I was a woman and I wasn't allowed to speak up for myself, you know, because again, make it relevant. A lot of my work in this lifetime is working on my voice.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I've done lots of work on it because you can't shut me up. But I would not have been able, you know, this has taken a lot of work for me, hasn't it, to get here? And yeah, so you can do meditations based on connecting in with that version of you. So let's just say that we, you know, you connect in with a version of you who was a healer, you know, in a past time, hundreds of years ago, a healer who used her voice to heal, a bit like I'm doing now. But she was called a witch and she was hunted down or she was persecuted, you know, whatever. Think of her connecting with her. And she was shut down and she shut her voice down, which means that I'm still working on letting that go, breaking that ancestral pattern, right? Give her a voice, give her the ability to speak up, give her the power, the strength to speak, you know, past those people. Now, yes, that was different times and you can't do, you know, she couldn't necessarily have done what I do now, but give her that healing, recreate the story for her. It's no different than when I do the inner child healing with my clients now in their current life. We go back to their childhoods and I get them to recreate a completely different memory. Now they would say, you know, well, I could never have done that with my parents because my parents would never behave that way. And I'm like, I don't care. Do whatever you need to do to give yourself, your inner child, that healing and to give you those thoughts and beliefs that you needed to get that you didn't get because that person acted that way. And by doing that, we change who they are in the present moment. Because again, there's no time. So you're changing what happened. You're changing that memory, even though it seems outrageous, of that person's childhood, and it's affecting them in the present now. It's the same thing as doing it in a past life. Yeah, sure. You might not have been able to speak up in that time because women didn't have the right and the men would just hang them or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Send that healing anyway, do it, and know that just as it does in the inner child healing in this life, it's going to have effects on you in this life. So all of a sudden, by healing your ancestors who couldn't speak up for themselves, and think of all the other patterns you're doing in this life that you would like to change that could potentially have been run over from past lives. You know, what if in another life you had the ability to be able to read people's emotions? You had a psychic gift. You had, you know, whatever. Call them in. Like, call them in, do the healing around it and bring it in. Take their gifts. It doesn't just have to be bad things. Take what they had in that life, which is you, and bring it into this life. And that's how you can use the ancestral healing on a spiritual level, I think, to make this life even better. To, again, go back to what we said at the beginning, help you remember who you truly are, which is a limitless, you know, like infinite being who's lived lots and lots of lives, who's developed many, many skills, who is connected to all these versions of you, and you can pull them in or heal them at any time. We've done that in our sessions, haven't we?
we have.
You know, think about, you can think energetically again. You know, I feel like energetic healing can be done through your chakras. Think about all the you know, persecution that's happened to women through your genetics, so your genetic ancestors, but also through your past life ancestors. So they're not connected genetically to you, but who you were in a past life. Think about all the persecution that's happened to them. And that, I really feel, because it's like the feminine is linked to your sacral chakra.
Yeah.
So by kind of going into your sacral chakra and thinking, what are you holding on to there? What ancestral trauma are you holding into your sacral chakra? What can you release from that? By not just thinking about yourself in this life, but by thinking about all of that persecution, all of that trauma on your feminine side that you can heal and release. And then that can then have effects on your health too. So maybe you get heavy periods, or you have issues with your womb, or, you know, like whatever, anything to do with that area. Again, everything is linked to all our dis-ease is linked to stored emotions in the body. Maybe these emotions aren't just yours. Maybe they're ancestral or past life ancestral trauma. And by doing that, having that intention, because that's what it is just the intention. By having that intention to release past ancestral trauma, you can do that. That's what I believe. And again, I can't speak to this too much because I'm still exploring, I'm still discovering.
Yeah.
But from the experiences I've had already, and also putting together my understandings from what I know of past lives and all the other things that I've picked up from what the higher self has told me through that in terms of healing and the energy, and where like you know, sickness and illness is stored in your current body in this lifetime now from past lifetimes. I'm not pulling it out of thin air. I'm pulling it from everything that I've experienced in real life. I do believe that this could be the power of ancestral healing. Maybe not all your problems are linked to you now as you are. Maybe they are linked to your ancestors. Maybe you're holding some trauma from your great 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 grandmother. You just don't know, do you? So yeah, I mean, I feel like that's as far as I can really go at the moment with it. But again, it's just like opening yourself up to what's possible, opening your beliefs up, thinking, could I do some past ancestral healing in a meditation or something on your own, like to heal an issue you know I have in a part of my body? Like, why not? We've all, especially I think, you know, the people that I tend to attract and the people that are listening to this, the women that are listening to this, I would hazard a guess that you've all had at least one or two lifetimes where you were persecuted for being a witch. And when I say a witch, I don't mean you were like a witch in your life. All these people that I work with, they were called, branded a witch, but what they actually were was healers. Whether that was they healed with herbs, they healed with their words, they healed with their hands. You know, you were just healers, and you were persecuted for it, and that's going to be stored in your energetic field, and which is eventually going to transfer over into your physical body. So when you can start opening your mind to maybe addressing that kind of ancestral healing in that way, in the more spiritual way, you might find that you get a lot more answers. You get a lot more healing that you wouldn't have got from just focusing on your body and you as a person now.
Amazing. It's like you say, it's all about discovering and remembering who you are.
Exactly.
And that's just another way of peeling off some of those layers to reveal something that might not even be yours. That you just assume it's part of you, don't you?
Exactly.
But not necessarily.
And also, just a final word to add to that as well is, don't forget that when you're doing this, you're not only helping yourself, but you are helping your ancestors. You're helping all those other souls, and they'll be grateful to you, and they'll be sending you
and
love.
what's the benefit of that? Do you think? I know you haven't gone into it so much, but I just feel like, is it like just like another way to higher the vibration? Because obviously your whole line is you're raising their vibration, so obviously you're gonna benefit from that, aren't you?
I think there's
That's what I feel
Yeah.
it's doing.
And I think you're potentially helping that soul as well. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? Is there a future version? Are our future ancestors doing ancestral healing for us that are helping us right now to be able to do what we're doing, the work that we're doing? We don't know. This is what I'm saying. Like, when you start opening your mind up, the possibilities are endless, and you can think of anything. And I prefer living that way. I love to think that in the future, in some kind of parallel future or something, that someone's helping me actively now, and that I can help people in the past, and that potentially, there's a distant ancestor of mine who was having a really shitty life, and because I'm sending the healing now, their life is now being affected by it, and they're like, well, that was good luck. Why is that happening? It's fun. We don't know. And this is what I'm saying. This is all, it's not tangible, but from what I do know, and from the way that I have explored this spiritual world and the things I've learned, I trust that there is way more going on than we realize. And if it doesn't work, and if none of this helps, it doesn't matter. What have you lost? You've lost nothing, because when you do this work, you do gain more insights about yourself anyway. You end up feeling better for it. So no matter how it helps you, whether it helps you in the way you wanted it to or not, you end up getting some kind of benefit from it. So what I would say is, why not? Exactly. Why not? And know that you could have loads of ancestors around you, because I believe that they're part of our spirit teams as well. And they are just sending you so much love. I mean, they love you anyway, but they're sending you so much love, and they're so grateful because you're helping them. And I do think we're at a really important time in the timeline of humanity at the moment as well. So I think that we've come here to do this work for a much bigger reason than us. And I think that's another thing, if we can just always think, is something that we need to remember with this connection thing, is that this world has made us be out for ourselves. It's not our faults, it's the way the world has been, the way the world has programmed us to be, and the fear and everything. It's we all have to look after ourselves, but I think this is part of remembering who we are, and this connection is that let's think about other people as well. Let's think outside of ourselves and think how we can help the whole, and not just people we know, and not just our ancestors, people we don't know, like humanity, whatever, in whatever ways you want to do that. If we can start thinking from that bigger perspective, everything gets better anyway as well.
Thank you, my love. That was beautiful. Still with a kiss.
That's so funny. I watched a program last night and the title of it was called Sealed with a Kiss. So this has just been such a magical, synchronistic episode, hasn't it? I think people needed to hear this one.
I do too.
Right, guys. With that,
Bye-bye.
see you. Bye.